click the links to join the channel here over at SubScribe Now, the various other links over at Odyssey as well. So the gay Buzz Lightyear with Chris Evans was not a hit. Shocking. And so they went out of their way to make sure that Inside Out Part 2 was as straight as an arrow. So this is That Park Place, but he's referencing this IGN article where the girl does a very deep dive into Pixar, Inside Out 2, and the Buzz Lightyear bomb, and she goes to bat for the employees, which is very cool, who were burned by Disney because they were fired before they were eligible for these what would have been really good bonuses, because the movie did like over $1.5 billion. And she's going into detail about how cautious Pixar was and Disney because of the Buzz Lightyear movie, and then Elemental, which also lost money, and then Inside Out 2, they were just as crystal clear as possible to not make the characters gay, because they knew that was a disaster and that they needed a hit. And the employees were virtue signaling about the lack of gay stuff and about all that, Klaus Schwab diversity, something equity, and all this kind of like Frankfurt School nonsense that, nobody cares about it. It's like, just feels like it's a bunch of affirmative action hires making like propaganda checklist stuff. It's like, that's exactly what it is. But Disney and Pixar, they needed a huge financial hit because they've had a lot of bombs lately, and they got that huge financial hit. So follow the logic. They knew they needed $1 billion plus film, which is what they consider a hit now. So they, thanks inflation, so they got rid of anything that would be perceived as gay, and the movie did well. So that seems pretty simple because, as I keep saying, diversity, feminism, and all the gay stuff is just not what people want. No offense if you're some left-winger who, I don't know where you're listening to this, but if you believe all that kind of nonsense, it's like you just been brainwashed. It's all garbage. And movies that put too much of that stuff in there don't do well. As the past 10 years have shown you, they repeatedly lose money following that same formula. And so like when the chips are really down, they knew they really had to have a hit, otherwise Pixar was going to be in trouble. They decided like, oh, maybe we should just get rid of it. It's like, yeah, why didn't you do that earlier? So in this long IGN article by Alex Stedman, she interviews people on why Lightyear bombed, and Disney said, well, it was too gay because there was a gay kiss. It's like it's more than that. It's like the totality of the circumstances. It's not just one kiss between two chicks or something. But these people in the interview are quick to say, no, that wasn't the reason. It was something else. That it wasn't something else. That's the reason. It was too gay and diverse and whatever. The audience was clearly telling you that. And we say the same thing to these people, these SJWs on Twitter about Concord and Dustborn, which they are so pissed off about those things failing. And I guess the Star Wars video game's not doing as well either. And then they're also mad about the Chainsaw movie reboot, re-up, I don't know, whatever that one with the chick with the ponytail and the chainsaw or something. And so for Concord, they go, no, it wasn't too woke. That had nothing to do with it. That just doesn't enter into the equation. And everyone in the comments is going, yeah, that does. That enters into the equation. It's spent 8 years and $200 million, and you got obese POC lesbians. So, who's the game made for? Oh, whoever wants to play it. This game's not made for you. Or this they're doing that with who's it? Jack Black's new Minecraft movie. No, listen, Hugo Boss. These movies aren't made for you. And people are like, challenge accepted. But in their worldview, they just can't admit that woke doesn't sell. They will bend over backwards, even when the people who are literally saying, no, that affected my purchasing decision. I did not buy this because it was woke, and woke is a negative to me. And they just like they lose their mind because that's their whole worldview. They just can't believe that people don't want BLT propaganda, or how tired of it people are. We're not where we were even a couple of years ago when people were getting tired of it a few years ago. Now it's just like so mask off. But the good thing is that people are finally rejecting it, and it's fun to watch. These things lose ridiculous amounts of money. The biggest loss recently was that Red Panda movie. It's set in Canada. A girl turns into a panda or something, and it had weird elements to it with kids and prurient illusions type of stuff. And that lost like $260 million or some ridiculous amounts of money. So the SJWs on Twitter will keep saying how much they love all this kind of sodomy stuff, but then they don't actually go support the movies or the video games. Or, it might just be that they're a loud voice on social media, but they're not enough to actually support an industry, because the past 5 or 10 years has shown you that they just don't show up when it comes time to buy tickets to this kind of stuff. And part of it is that the BLT crowd will watch straight movies, but straight people won't watch gay movies. So, it is what it is. They'll do anything but accept that woke just doesn't sell, and you can't ignore the consequences of the movies losing money, because they very much have over the past 5+ years. And the thing with Disney or Hollywood in general is that life is not Tumblr. Our values are totally different from these people, and the more you speak up about this, the left wing always talks about representation. You go, oh, well, here's our diversity of thought, and then suddenly they move to censor you. It's like, no, your ideas don't have value. So most people are just not into BLT, the gay stuff, and the numbers back that up. And race mixing is very low on what people want to see in movies, because it feels like propaganda. It feels like you're just following a checklist as you look through some of these movies. It's like, oh, hey, interracial gay couple who adopted a kid. So like a black and Indian couple who adopted like a Chinese kid or something. Oh, hey, and there's a lesbian couple over there. It's like, what kind of neighborhood is this? It's like every other character is, is it? It's just every stereotypical checklist, and people are really not into that. And what was that other movie that Disney did where there's another race mix couple out in space on some asteroid or something, and the kids are involved in a prurient relationship with the same sex. So it feels like, some Epstein type of stuff. You're sexualizing kids. It's like, well, what's the difference? It's just little boys and little girls have, crushes on each other. It's like, what's the difference if it's the same? Because it's some degenerate in Hollywood who's writing the story. And, it's like, it doesn't matter what I say about it. The only thing that matters to them is that these movies are not selling, because there's something in your subconscious when you look at this and you go, I know you're doing something behind the scenes here. And not everyone's going to say all this kind of Frankfurt School type of stuff and go down all the Bolshevik history. But people know that there's an agenda, and it's just coming from the worst people on earth. Gay, race mixing, communism is basically everything in Hollywood now, except when they need to make money. Then they go, oh, you know what? Why don't we get rid of all that? So they had Buzz Lightyear with who was that guy? The Tim Allen, I think, was the original voice of that. Though he's apparently still in with Disney. He was doing something else at the time, and so they used Chris Evans. And Chris Evans he was in the Marvel movies, and it was a huge hit as Captain America, but he doesn't have much of a draw. And not another teen movie back in 2000. That movie was freaking hysterical. But he doesn't really have much of a draw outside of being Captain America. So Buzz Lightyear is a kid's show, but to us, a kid's show doesn't have, no offense, lesbian mixed race couples in it, and just this abortion of diversity in every scene, because that's not organic. It's propaganda. We know that they didn't set out to write a fun little kid's adventure like Disney has been doing for 100 years, and all you have to do is let the horse follow its own path, just loosely hold the reins, and Disney goes, no, we're going to go off in the left field here and just like burn truckloads of money, which is what they've been doing for the past couple of years. And it feels like, oh, you set out to follow this woke checklist that you see every major corporation following. That's how we know none of it's organic, because Larry Fink is pushing half of this kind of stuff. So in our worldview, we want straight tribal storytelling, and no, we don't need stories to be updated for the current Weimar. They go, we're gonna refresh it. It's like, you're gonna make it gay, lesbian space communism, aren't you? It's like, that's exactly what we're gonna do. Diversity is actually really low on what we want to see. It'd be nice to see some shows without it. I'd like to see some people at a Nordic Central casting and just them in movies. If you needed antagonists, then you can use the POCs for that. That would, I'd like to see a little bit of a change of pace. Like, what would happen? They would burn down the theater if Hollywood did a movie like that. We're gonna make the Pox the bad guys. And Twitter would, it'd be its busiest day ever, but it would be fun to watch. And the gay stuff is even lower on what people want to see, and female gay stuff with kids and diversity. And when you combine all those Venn diagrams, just nobody wants to see that. And don't get mad at the messenger saying that. It's like the theaters are empty for a reason. And the thing is, this is kind of going over into the perception of things that look woke, even if they're not necessarily woke, like the Marvels or Madam Web or a couple other movies that are just kind of standard movies. They go, is that there's females and POCs in them, and people just go, I'm not going to see that. It's not worth $16 if you see Brie Larson and two POC sidekicks, because it's going to be woke. Or the Madam Web was Sydney Sweeney and then a POC sidekick. And you're like, well, it's going to be girl power, and it's just going to be the same stupid story. And what happens is those things absolutely bombed, and they weren't necessarily that woke. And there's a couple other movies I saw as well. Was it Furiosa or something that Zach at Diversity of Comics was losing his mind over? It wasn't that bad. It's just the perception is, and the thing is, it's not good. It's like, a movie has to be good. It's $16, and it's leaving the house and parking and going to a theater and going with somebody, or what I mean. It's like it's kind of a little bit of an event. It's like, movies have to be better than like, oh, it wasn't that bad. It's like, dude, it's 2 hours out of your night, and you know what I'm saying. And and then all like the extra calories in the if you get any popcorn over there. Anyway, this stuff is not selling, because when we say a family, to us, that means a mom and a dad with their grandparents and their extended family and their kids. And the thing with mixing tribes is that we want to see like Irish people marry other Irish people so they can continue to make more Irish people, and that race of people survive. That is of value to us. And it's weird that it's not of value to Hollywood, which we love diversity. It's like, well, for diversity to be maintained, they have to be separate. You have to have separate spaces. Like if you go to Paris and it's not full of French people, it's not Paris anymore. It's just going to look a whole lot like London. It's like that's not that the cities used to be special because they were what they were. And I mentioned like real world politics because you see it's in the movies. The movies is just propaganda for what the the globalists are doing politically. So that's why kind of the BLT stuff, the gay stuff, is the what is the actual acronym? LBLG something, because they put lesbian first, I think, because it used to be like, they just used gay for everything, and then they got like feminism. Like gay wasn't woke enough, so they put lesbian before gay because it's like it's just so stupid. I mean, all this stuff is just painfully stupid. And what's even worse is having to pretend to take it seriously. I mean, back in my day, we used that G slur and R slur for everything, and they took that away from us. And it's such a great shortcut to say something is just R slur, G slur. And then you don't even bother looking at it, because if most of your friends agree that something is G-slur, you're like, oh, okay, well, I'll trust them for that. And they very carefully have used social media to make some words verboten. And I mean, that's kind of a deeper dive on how social media controls language, and language controls how you think. It's like what they're doing is absolutely evil, because they're lizard people. Anyway, so the stuff with the gay stuff is that it's kind of the rat utopia experiment. It's kind of the left-hand path, because it doesn't build organic tribe members. it's not, that's just not our values. And the more you're open about saying that, and you have to say it with a straight face, as if you don't know that these SJWs will lose their mind. Like, oh, the gay diversity, oh, no, I'm not into that at all. It's just not my values. And they will lose their freaking minds over it. And you just have to maintain a, like you're so naive that you don't understand. Well, don't you want me to honestly express myself? And again, they lose. What do you mean I'm not a woman? I just saw a struggle session with, I'll have to put this clip up there. It's absolutely bizarre where this guy was trying to get this woman to say that he was a woman or something. It was freaking J.K. Rowling. It's on J.K. Rowling's Twitter if you want to go scroll through that. Anyway, it's something that the lizards in Hollywood want to use to deconstruct the stability of a country, or the West in general, as we're seeing, where they insert basically rust into everything. It's the sinister, corrupting influence to brainwash kids. The drag queen story hour type of stuff, they're not going to retirement centers. They're going to kindergartens. So that's kind of a bigger topic, but the point is simple. We're not BLT. We don't want to show that to kids because we think that those are left-hand path values, and we want our kids on the right path because we want grandkids to grow the tribe, to value the ancestors and tradition, which is like far right-wing dog whistling. Well, it's not dog whistling because I'm saying it openly. It's like human. I'm just openly expressing it. All those nationalism, yes, those are all good things. Globalism is evil. That's not a dog whistle. When you really look at Hollywood and you start taking notes on the elements you see in the stories, you'll see that evil has been there for the whole time and almost since the beginning. Every once in a while, movies do slip through the cracks, but you see it more and more, and it's just kind of the waters in which we swim. It affects everything, and that's why I look at the future of Hollywood and go, oh yeah, I don't see movies escaping that. So honestly, I don't know what Hollywood's going to do. So maybe it makes me sound like some kind of a Christian preacher from the '80s or something. But some of them were grifters for sure. But like two things can be true at once. They were right about Hollywood being a wretched hive of scum and villainy. So they keep talking about things that the lizards value, but when you look at it, all the things that they value destroys family, creates rootless people. It's the whole Bolshevik found family concept, and it subverts the nation to the extent that it's so lost it just becomes a commercial zone run by NGOs, and Disney is just the Good Think branch, and State Street Vanguard and BlackRock are the financial branch, and it's like, oh, it doesn't feel like we really run the country. The people aren't represented in that representative republic type of thing. It's just these NGOs behind the scenes who are moving money around and manipulating the narrative, because if you control the narrative, you then control the way people think. And when they did, this was one of the interviews that came out on Disney, and there's a woman here, she's talking about her kids, and I hope they were over 18 and they had given her permission to talk about this. She's talking about her kids' sexuality, and it's it's like too much information, but it's just bizarre that she's talking to millions of people about, oh yeah, all her kids are trans, furry, by otherkin type of stuff. It's like, oh god, what are the odds on that? Like, both kids, but you get two out of three kids are something else. It's like, that doesn't seem organic. That seems like a societal contagion. How dare you say that? I mean, just statistically, it's like 1 in a million probability. Math isn't adding up here. Anyway, our values are not theirs, and that's a good thing, and it's time to express that, because their jeers mean nothing, because I've seen the monsters that they applaud. Literally with the Grammy Award, or no, not Grammy, Oscar Awards, I think, where they're, how many of those clips you need to see of like Glenn Close standing and applauding Weinstein or Roman Polanski or something, just monsters, absolute monsters. And then they look down on us. It's like, no, we have the voice of moral authority. It's like, no, you really don't. You guys are, island off the coast of Florida type of people. Anyway, supporting Disney is basically supporting that kind of stuff. It's someone should do a spoof on Disney with where you put on the They Live glasses and you take a look at Bob Iger and all this kind of stuff. And they have a new girl's going to go to replace Bob Iger because he wanted to retire for a long time. I guess they essentially wouldn't let him because they needed to start turning Disney around. But they're going to have some woke chick at the head of Disney. It's like, oh well, accelerate onto the reef as fast as they can. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys all next episode.